Andrew, welcome to the show. Great to have you on here. Obviously, we have been working with SuiteFiles for some time now. I think we met just pre-pandemic, I think it was, wasn't it? It was just before the whole world went mental, and lockdowns and all those sorts of things. So we've been through quite a few interesting challenges of our own on your journey. But let's start the show by giving the viewers an understanding of SuiteFiles. Obviously, New Zealand-based SaaS company, but let's talk about what it does and maybe a little bit of where you're at as a business today.
Sure, thanks, Steve. Yep, I think it was late 2019, early 2020 when we met and first started talking to each other. SuiteFiles is a cloud-based document management solution. It's designed for any small to medium business that's in the professional services space to get their files into the cloud and to manage everything in one place so that you can access those documents online at any time from any location. And, great in this world where we're in lockdown in New Zealand and all working from home.
Yeah. So where are you? Are you in, hold on, you in Christchurch? I'm trying to remember now.
Wellington.
Gosh, sorry. Yes. It's that long since we spoke about that. But all right. Well, let's talk about SuiteFiles. So, how long SuiteFiles been going now?
Formally, we've been an incorporated company for about 9.5 years now. Okay. So we're 10 in April. Yeah.
All right. And you have funding now through private equity. Is it US-based private equity? Is that right?
We do. A private equity firm known as Bridgewest in San Diego invested in SuiteFiles around about 2 years ago and now our major shareholder. Yeah.
And that's when we first met. So I'm interested to know, how does a small SaaS-based company in New Zealand end up with a San Diego private equity firm coming in and becoming their major shareholder? How did that occur and what impact has that had since it occurred?
Purely by accident, really, is how it occurred. We, when we started the business 9.5 years ago, we were actually spun out of a IT services company here in Wellington called Provoke. Over the course of Provoke's journey, they actually got involved with the Bridgewest company. And as we spun SuiteFiles up, Provoke were the majority shareholder in the business. And then a couple of years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, the Provoke business actually got bought out by Bridgewest. And as a result, Bridgewest obviously gained the shares in SuiteFiles. So it's a little bit of a different journey in that we weren't out actively looking for a private equity investor or anything like that. It's just that the company that had the majority of our shares got purchased. And so Bridgewest got those shares. What's it meant for us? It's been really good, actually. It was probably an interesting start because it wasn't something that we were looking for. But we've really got to know the Bridgewest guys. We've got a couple of Bridgewest people on our board now. I'm talking to them 3-4 times a week in constant conversation and really built this amazing relationship with them now where there's a lot of trust between the two businesses. They let us get on and do the things that we need to do, and they provide a huge amount of advice and also access to some amazing advisors. So we've got a couple of people who come along to our board meetings who have some phenomenal SaaS experience. One of these advisors recently resigned from the board of ServiceNow, which is a $50 billion business listed in the States, and he's helping us, small Kiwi company here in New Zealand, and providing advice when we need it. And there's another guy who's had 15 years and has been involved with mergers and acquisitions and SaaS businesses and starting up the marketing teams and those sorts of things in the States. And I talk to him on a weekly basis and just throw ideas around and work on issues that we've got and get his feedback.
It's awesome. That is awesome. So tell me, you started business 9.5 years ago. It's a very specific business, why did you start it? What was the reason that made you go, you know what, I think I'm going to start a business. I think I'm going to call it SuiteFiles, and I think we're going to do this. You know, those things never happen just by accident, like perhaps the Bridgewest thing did. What drove you to that?
Well, again, you know, it's sort of a whole bunch of things coming together at a certain time, and then an opportunity opens itself up. Around 10 years ago, I was working for myself, contracting as a virtual CIO to small businesses around Wellington. I had a job that one of my customers wanted done. I knew the guys at Provoke, and I knew that they could execute on that job for me. I wasn't the person who would do the work. And I started talking to them about this customer, and they quickly changed the subject to this opportunity that they had, which was they'd had conversations with Rod Drury, the founder of Xero, who had said to them, we're doing these things with accountants. We're trying to move them accounting practices to the cloud, and they went to do something with their documents, and how do we get them off a file server? And also at the same time, Microsoft was launching their Office 365 platform, and all these sort of things came together. And I started talking to the Provoke guys, who continued their talks with Xero, and next thing you know, there's the precursor to SuiteFiles, this application that was built so that accounting firms could go cloud-based, be built on the Microsoft platform, because they all love Excel and want to work in that. And then there also turned out to be a guy within Provoke who was doing a bunch of work on the side at home, basically a home project. He was trying to work out how to make Office 365 kind of work like Google Docs.
Yep.
And we all got together and turned around and said, well, you know, we could start a business from this. We could do something with this. The guy Callum, who was doing the side project, you know, he became our CTO, and we went into business with Provoke and started SuiteFiles.
There you go. That's one of those moments in time, isn't it? When Xero, obviously, it was probably nowhere near where it is now, obviously. It was, and look at what the success that had. 365's taken over the world, and you guys have gone along with that, yep. Right? And so your product integrates with 365 seamlessly, right? And you initially sold a lot through the Xero marketplace. Is that right?
Yeah. So we sell to a lot of accounting practices.
Yep.
So we integrate with Xero's practice management solution, and that allows accountants to keep their client information, all the files and emails that they've got for their clients all in one place, and then have it integrated with their practice management solution, so they can see that the folders and files for their clients in the same place that they can see all the accounting information and the bookkeeping stuff that they're doing in the general ledger. Yeah, so important also to note that, you know, while Xero's been awesome, and that integration is really great and helps us get lots of accounting practices on board, we're not just set up for accountants. Any professional services organisation or any business that is document-centric can use SuiteFiles. You don't have to have that integration with Xero to make it work.
Yeah, okay. And we met when you were hiring your first person on the ground here in Australia. You already had quite a large customer base here, but you were running that from Wellington, and obviously we helped you find that person. So tell me, where is that was 18 months ago now? So where is the business now? You know, what sort of size are you in terms of staff? What has your sort of revenue bin growth look like over maybe the last 12, 18 months? And more importantly, which is what everyone really wants to know, where are you going in the next, 18 months?
Yeah, we've got 23 or 24 staff at the moment. It sort of changes because we're constantly hiring. I've got a couple of people on the ground in Melbourne now, which will come through you. Thank you very much. And I'm continuing to look for a couple more. I've also just hired our first person in the US. So we're looking to expand globally. We actually have a bunch, maybe 30 or 40 clients up in the UK at the moment. We don't have many in North America, but we've done a bunch of testing over the last 12 months, really, to see how that can work for us. And we believe that the time is right now to actually get people on the ground and be working in the right time zones in North America and also the UK to have people there and service our clients up there. So I think you asked about revenue growth. Last year was a fantastic year for us. We grew our revenue 70% on over and above what we did the year before.
Yep.
So for a SaaS business, our annual recurring revenue is a pretty critical metric for us, and that just continues to grow and grow and grow, which is fantastic. Where are we going? We see a more global strategy than Australia and New Zealand is really critical to us. At the moment, the vast majority of our customers are Australian-based, and we need to sort of break out and not just rely on that one, the Australasian geography. One of the reasons for that, lockdown is showing why we should be doing that. That's just one reason. But if we're in lockdown, obviously, here in New Zealand right now, and you guys in New South Wales and in Victoria had substantial lockdowns as well. That's doing funny things to the market. If we just continue to rely on Australasia, we'd be subject to those lockdowns and any other thing that's going on. Also, seasonality. Christmas, you can't do much in New Zealand and Australia for generally 4 weeks. Sometimes it's up to 6 weeks because everyone goes to the beach. But they don't have those sorts of at that time of year. They don't have that break up in the Northern Hemisphere. So we want to be able to spread the load and spread the risk across the business and actually start doing stuff in other locations.
Yeah, that's cool. And there's a couple of things I want to touch on there. And it's interesting, as you know, we are also growing globally at the same time. In fact, I think lockdown has driven a lot of Australian companies to look at that. In fact, if I look at the guests that we're having on today and tomorrow, and these 2 days we're doing filming, I would say probably 80% of them are growing globally, which is why we are also growing globally, obviously in response to our clients. And we're hiring in North America, and we have people in the UK, as you know, and we're hiring in Singapore. And I'm finding that quite challenging. And I'm interested to know how you're finding, not necessarily the hiring, because we're probably doing it for you. So of course you're finding it an absolute dream, but how you're actually finding the concept of growing globally, because all those countries are quite different. They have different, as much as they're similar, that there are quite a lot of differences, and particularly North America, where you've got lots of different states that also operate very, very differently. And the time zones and all those kinds of things. How are you finding that as a whole?
Yeah, I think mentally there was a hurdle to get across for me personally first. And trying to figure out, okay, well, if we're really going to do this, we've got to be all in, and I've got to give it everything. And if I'm going to ask other people on the team to do things which would be in different time zones, then I've got to be prepared to do that as well. So I came to that conclusion and made the jump a number of months ago now. Our first hire up in the US, he's based in Atlanta. So that's as bad a time zone difference as you can get with New Zealand. But it means that, 8 o'clock in the morning is 4 o'clock in the afternoon there for him. And there is a little bit of overlap. I keep hoping and suggesting that come daylight savings time in a few weeks, that overlap gets a bit bigger.
Yep.
And there's a couple of extra hours in the day. But, we just got to get on and do things where if you want to operate as a global company, you've got to think globally. And that really means getting over the fact that there's a time zone difference and just getting on with it. In terms of finding people, it's been an interesting journey in the States. I've met a real variety of candidates for the role, and some people were very much no, I'm not touching that person, and a couple of them have been really great. And I think we just stick to what we think of when we're hiring anywhere, which is just getting the right fit in terms of personality, making sure that that person is going to buy into the vision that we have of going forward, and they're going to get stuck in and roll their sleeves up. I also have a lot of conversations, and I start these. I really want people to understand that there's a significant difference in scale between New Zealand and Australia, and the guy we just hired in Atlanta, he came from a company that had 19,000 staff, and he's gone to a company with 23 staff. And as I say to him, Atlanta is about twice the size of New Zealand in terms of population. So, there's some differences that he's going to get as a result of that, and we might think in ways that are maybe smaller because we're a small country.
Yeah, and look, I think I think you touched on it earlier. COVID has and lockdowns have changed companies and thinking, and I think a lot more people think globally because it's become more acceptable to not necessarily have to do things in person. But I think also for companies like your own, it's been a huge benefit, and ours as well. You've benefited from the fact that you're helping businesses move into the cloud that that are doing it now that might not have done it for another 1, 2, 3, 4 years. They've almost been sort of bullied into it by the world, saying, right, this is the world, and the world has leaped forward, and wonderful for your business and wonderful timing. And that's obviously contributed to huge growth and opportunity, which is fantastic. What has it probably hurt you? What ways has it hurt you? Because a lot of these companies that we deal with are SaaS companies or e-commerce companies or cloud-based companies, and they've benefited from this remoteness that the world's gone into. But there's always two sides to a coin. So, everyone I've spoken to is always talking about the benefits, which is great because that's the way you do really want to view the world. But I'm intrigued to know, what things has it made more difficult for you, maybe personally, but also as a business?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I actually am quick to say to people, we got fortunate or got lucky this time around. You can't predict the pandemic and you can't predict what's going to happen as a result. And as a result, we happen to be in the right place with our business to grow from it. But the next thing that happens, who knows? We might be, if you're in hospitality or something like that, you've really had a really tough time.
Yeah.
And that could be us next time around. So we've got to be thankful for the fact that we were in a good place this time and make the most of it. The hardest thing, well, we spent a lot of time pre-COVID traveling around Australia, a number of trips up to the UK and a couple to the States, where we would go to a lot of in-person events and conferences, and that would be one of the biggest ways that we'd do our lead generation. Mm-hmm. So turning up at an event and scanning people's name tags and getting their details and following up with them from a sales perspective, and that died overnight. So that was something that we had to work our way through. We had to find a way that we could replace those leads that we were expecting to get throughout the course of the rest of 2020 and now through 2021 with something else. So we've done a whole bunch of things, changed the way we do our lead generation, and doing a lot more in the digital marketing space, which really, if we look at a lot of our contemporaries across Australia and New Zealand, was something that people weren't doing and weren't finding was working overly well for them. We spent a lot of time getting into that, investing in it, and trying to figure out a way to generate leads, and that's working pretty well at the moment.
Yep.
And we also invested in cold calling and things like that. So actually transforming our business from a company where people really did pre-pandemic come to us and ask us to get onto SuiteFiles, to a company that's actually going out now and selling and actually approaching people and trying to convince them that SuiteFiles is the thing that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you found that? You find that the cold calling aspect or the proactive side of it, that's a big cultural shift from a business that's having business in term. How have you found that as a business as a whole? Because it impacts everyone.
It does. And we, 2 years ago, we didn't do any of that. And
you told me that when we met. I remember you said to me, "We don't do any selling," and I'm like, "What?" I remember. I remember very clearly. I think you're the only person that's ever rung me up saying, "I need to hire a salesperson because we've never done any sales and we're this big already." And I'm like, "That was amazing." So it's interesting.
Yeah. And it just wasn't a part of the way we thought about things. And that's been a massive mindset change for us as well. Just actually, a SaaS business, when we built this thing, and I don't think we quite had the dream of changing the world or anything like that. We were talking about document management. We're not talking about something that's a cure for cancer or something like that. But we had the idea of we wanted to build this great product, and of course, if you build it, they will come, kind of thing. And that's really not how SaaS businesses are successful. SaaS businesses are successful because they are sales and marketing engines. Yep. And the product is a part of the thing that goes with that. So we really had to build that engine, and change culturally around that. So going from being the only person in the organisation who really spoke to customers about sales, and I'm not a sales guy, to hiring a sales team and managing the sales team and managing the sales development reps who are making the cold calls and managing the account execs who are doing the closing. To change the way that we do things, getting the daily stand-ups running and talking to the team about what they need and what their issues are. A total shift in how we run our business.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. And what about you personally? I think I've been asking everyone this question actually. I've picked up a few new things that I do and new habits that I have. Is there anything that has, it's obviously impacted you, but is there anything that's fundamentally changed in your life? Could be a daily habit, weekly habit, whatever it is, but something that you're doing regularly now that you didn't do before, and more importantly, that you never probably thought you would do?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything that's regular. I did complain for a couple of years that I was traveling too much, and COVID stopped that, which you've always got to be careful what you ask for, right, or what you wish for.
You missed that now,
right? I didn't wish for COVID, but I did wish to tone back the traveling. No, there's nothing really. Maybe there's just the checking in with people a bit more, and with COVID and whether COVID would have was the catalyst for this or not, or whether it was just the way people were talking and thinking about things in the world. The whole idea of checking in with people and making sure that they're okay, and the mental health side of things. Yep. We do a bit more of that. I'd still say I'm not perfect by any stretch at checking in with the team, but certainly like to do that a lot more. I'm a really big fan personally of actually having the team together and being in the office. We haven't really, we have embraced working from home because that's what we're doing right now, but we're not an organisation that's saying to staff, oh, look, if you just want to work from home now, that's an option for you. I actually want people in the office, and I want people talking and mixing together and having that, that water cooler conversation where the ideas come from. I see that as still critical to our business, and making sure when we're in lockdown periods that we're actually checking in, having conversations, getting on calls, all day with the staff to have those conversations and get those ideas. I think it's still something that's critical for us as well. Personally, what have I done? We moved house just before coming into this lockdown, so we got in by the skin of our teeth, and that's been good. In the last lockdown, I actually, in our old house, worked from a basement and was underground, so that was horrible.
That would be awful.
And now I've got the sun coming in the window. That's so much better. So that's really good.
Simple things in life, just daylight.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have a view. Even in the old house, I didn't have a view at all, but I can see things and look out over stuff. So that's nice. And that's last time round, 3 weeks into the lockdown, of being in a basement for 8 hours a day, or probably actually 10 hours a day. You did start going a bit stir crazy. Yeah. Yes,
I imagine that when you emerged at the end of the night, your whole family cowered in the corner, going, "Here he comes! He's coming up from the depths." Now you said something that caught my attention there. You said that you like to have water cooler moments. You like people to be in the office and so forth, right? And obviously this is a big topic at the moment. I'm interested, and people have views either way, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but I'm interested, how do you create that culture or extend that culture to a global team? When you're all in an office in Wellington, that's fine. You can do that. You can have your water cooler moments. Yeah. But when you've got people geographically dispersed all over the world in different time zones, and that's part of the way the business is, part of the company's DNA, how can you, if you found a way yet, or are you still trying to, how do you sort of push that out to the further regions, so to speak?
I don't think we've cracked it, but we have way too many tools in which we use to communicate with people. So we can, of course, there's email, we use Slack, we use Teams, and there's constant communication going around on those three tools. We probably use too many actually, and need to rationalize that a bit. because it gets confusing as to where the conversation's actually happening.
Yeah.
But Slack is really, really good for us, and the team is on that all the time. And I encourage people just to, rather than type a message, hit the call button and actually talk to folks. I with my guy in the US, I talk to him every day.
Yep.
So he gets a lot of love and attention from me. One of the staff in Australia, I talk to every day. She's doing something a little bit different for us. So we just want to make sure that we're always on the right page and going in the right direction for that. Actually, I talk to the sales guys in Australia every day as well. Not necessarily one-on-one, but they're always involved in the stand-ups, and there's always other conversations that are going on. So, just making that effort to reach out and talk to them. And actually, reaching out is probably the wrong word. I book the time in advance. I know that I need to talk to these people, and if I don't, then I need to sort of give myself a little black mark for that day.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. In terms of, I guess, the journey that you've had so far, you can answer this one of two ways. What's been the hardest thing that you've gone through and had to overcome? And obviously, what was the outcome of that? Or what was the biggest mistake that you made, and what was the outcome of that? Because usually good things come out of mistakes, not necessarily at that precise moment, but in the long term. So either way, either where the journey was probably most difficult and how you overcame it, or the biggest mistake and what the outcome was, or both if you wish. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I want to answer both. The mistakes were reasonably easy. In our early days, we used to get distracted with what I guess you'd call little unicorn projects. Every now and then someone would come along and say, if you build one of these things, we'll give you a pile of cash. And it's not quite what you want to do in terms of document management and how you want to build your platform, but there's piles of cash. And in those days, we were pretty cash strapped and everything was bootstrapped. So we were like, let's chase the unicorn. And we'd spend 3 or 4 months doing that, and then realize by the end of it that the person offering the cash, or the business offering the cash, really wasn't that serious about it, or it wasn't really a great fit and wasn't going to make the money we thought it was.
Right.
So we got distracted, and we took a stand, I don't know, 6 years ago or something, to just say, no more of that, no more of these unicorns. Let's just concentrate on what we want to do, and let's get that right. We've still got a long way to go to make sure we get it completely right, but if we can concentrate on that, we can get further ahead rather than losing 3 months. So that was one of the things there. The hardest thing that we've been through, it's pretty easy, really. At the start of last year, the guy who started the business with, our CTO, resigned, and at that point in time, we only had about 8 staff, I think. And we only had a couple of people in the development team, so our CTO and one other young guy. And we had to work out very, very quickly how the hell we would handle that. Our CTO, he pretty much had the keys to everything, and was with the young guy that we had in the team, he was farming out small chunks of work to him, but not giving him the keys to the kingdom, as it were. So we had to basically build the team from scratch again, and hire a bunch of new developers, do some handover of here's the code base, open it all up, see what's really been going on, and just start again with the application, basically, because this guy with all the knowledge had moved on.
Yeah.
And it was tough. It was a really tough time. He did it, the first working day of the year, last year. So January and February were really hard months in terms of our business. What happened as a result? We got better. We built a team. We've got 7 developers now. They all have we decided that we're going to do things differently. We've opened up the code base. Everyone can see what's going on. Everyone has. We've got more than one person who has knowledge of any one area within the system. So if someone does leave, we've got that cover. And we've started rebuilding. And as every developer who you ever meet will say when they look at some code, they'll say, I wouldn't have done it that way. So we've allowed the guys to do it their way and to build it in a way that they think that they can maintain going forward. And so there's been changes that have gone on as a result. But yeah, as a result, we've built more robust processes around development and design of what we're going to be doing and how we release the code. We've changed our methodologies in terms of releases or our philosophies. We used to really just build big features and release them 3 or 4 times a year, which is quite un-SaaS-like.
Yep.
And now we have 2-week development cycles, and we're releasing every 2 weeks and putting small but fast updates out so that we're seeing constant wins.
The business has been through really in the last 2 years huge changes. You've changed your engineering, the way you engineer and build your product. You've changed the way you release your product. You've changed the way you go out and sell your product and market your product. It's a real evolution, which sort of leads me on to my next question. And I know the answer to this because you've told me many times and I've told many candidates many times. But for the sake of our viewers, if someone is interested in SuiteFiles, why in your own words would someone want to come and work with you guys?
I think we're a business that has ambition. Our vision is to be the world's best document management system for small to medium businesses. So, and those are always lofty visions. There's a long way to go to get to that. So there's plenty of work for people who want to come and get involved. We want to. Part of that being the best in the world it's got to mean that we need to spread around the world. We can't be the best in the world, but only in New Zealand and Australia. So we've got global ambitions. We've got a really fantastic team who back us, and the Bridge West guys. They're really enthusiastic about the business and supportive of the things that we want to do. And we've got a really good team. So it's interesting, when people leave, and we've had a couple of people leave who've been with us for quite some time. You always feel the pain and you don't want them to go because they're part of the furniture and you like them and that sort of thing. But one of the things that you can do is you can always, don't want to sound bad on the other people, but you upgrade. You get other people who come along and have other ideas and can take you to the next level. And we've had 4 or 5 people come in just this year, and they've got new ideas and new ways of doing things, and it's opening our eyes. So people can come in and actually have an impact if they want to do stuff with it, if they want to come and work for SuiteFiles.
I like that. They come in to make you better. I think, yes, saying upgrade might put a few people won't show anyone who currently works for SuiteFiles this video, but that's not what we mean. But you can go on. You can actually just keep evolving. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, and I agree. The more people you bring in, and if you let them share and bring their ideas, it makes you better as a collective group. 100%. Yep. Andrew, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a real pleasure to finally sort of get this happening after all this time. And look, we continue to enjoy helping you go on this journey. And I didn't realize the business had evolved so much in such a short period of time. It's quite amazing. You must be just thrilled with the way it's going.
Yeah, it's great. It's one of those things that you've got to stop when you talk about it. You go, wow, we did all that. But when you're stuck in the day-to-day part of it, you keep just thinking about the current problem and what you're actually what you've got to achieve right now. So, but yeah, we've come we're a totally different business to what we were 18 months, 2 years ago. Yeah. And that's what gives me the confidence that we can continue doing and going down the track that we are and actually be successful. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on the show, and I'm sure we will speak soon.
Thank you, Steve. It's been fun.
Cheers.